and Dave McMenamin, Ramona Shelburne, and I were in this segment talking about the Westbrook trade. And Dave said, I believe I'm quoting him accurately, he said a team source told me that trading Westbrook was like getting rid of a vampire in the locker room. And I mean, I wasn't on screen because it was a solo shot on Dave. And it's a good thing I wasn't, because my head snapped back.
Dave likes those solo shots.
Oh my God. What?
Woo!
Oof. I mean, that was some.
What's going on in Transylvania?
That had some teeth. How about that? How about that?
All right, well, let's talk about the good teams first. Then we'll get to the Lakers.
All right.
I just
Stop
got to get the Laker fans a little more mad.
Start with Memphis. Memphis, one of the worst jump shooting teams in the league. In their recent skid, they've been really, really bad. I know that they really had hoped Danny Green, who was included in that trade, ended up in Houston. He'll get bought out, I'm fairly certain.
I would think so.
I mean, I'm sure they'd love to have Danny Green there as a veteran leader, but I'm not sure Danny wants any part of that Rocket situation. But they get Luke Kennard, who led the league in 3-point shooting last year and is in the top couple this year, has injury problems, but the type of player they need. And you look, when you make a trade as a contender at the deadline, what you're saying, can we get a guy that can help us win a couple of playoff games? And I think he can, McMahon.
I completely agree. And look, they were a team that was also, very much in the OG Anunoby bidding. Obviously, that was a priority for them. It didn't happen. Luke Kennard is not anywhere close to that level of a two-way player, but as you said, he is an absolute just knockdown shooter. And this is a team that struggles to score at times in the half court. And they have a lot of bad shooters in the rotation, to be honest with you. Now, if he's healthy, they're always going to have at least one elite knockdown 3-point shooter on the floor, because Desmond Bane is that, he's one of the best shooters in the league too. So now with him and Kennard, those guys will play together sometimes. There will be times that the Grizzlies put out really, really good shooting lineups, which is when you have a guy like John Morant, like he's going to create good looks for you. So that, Kennard is not the shot creator that Bane is, worked to become. But if he's getting set up, he's going to knock them down when they're good looks for sure.
Well, listen, they're 17th in offensive rating. They're second in defensive rating. They've got the runaway favorite to win Defensive Player of the Year and Jaren Jackson Jr. behind him. And clearly they decided they could sacrifice some defense for offense. And to get where they want to go, they probably needed to. I echo what you guys said in terms of what Memphis is doing there. I thought the Clippers had a really good day. I mean, turning essentially Kennard, who was not really playing for the Clippers, John Wall and Reggie Jackson into Bones Highland, good flyer for them as a younger guy. See how he does there. He doesn't need to play for them, but they can, see if they could develop him into something with a roster without a lot of young talent. Mason Plumlee, who gives them a lot of the things they had from Isaiah Hartenstein last year, could do some dribble handoff stuff, really good passer out of the high post, can run some different stuff with him. He's had a really good year for Charlotte. There was there was talk leading into the deadline. Maybe he'd end up as a buyout guy in LA. Obviously now he gets to keep his bird rights, gets to the Clippers now. And then getting Eric Gordon, a guy who, McMahon has been all over the Eric Gordon beat for years. It's felt like he's been in purgatory in Houston for a really long time.
Yeah, him and John Collins have been in trade rumors for years now. Collins is to be continued. Gordon finally got out.
Yes, and I think he's another guy, a floor spacer, can guard. He's going to be motivated, I'm sure, going to a situation like that in LA. Fits with the way those guys play. And you mentioned it, Brian. Danny Green, the buyout market's generally overrated. Danny Green is a guy I'm very curious to see where he winds up. We asked earlier about where that fifth starter is in Phoenix. I could certainly see them going after Danny Green. He would be an interesting fit there. He'd be an interested fit on basically any contender as a potential 3-and-D wing veteran presence. So I'll be curious to see what happens.
I'm also interested actually in a guy that the Clippers did trade, and that's Reggie Jackson. Reggie Jackson is a dude who, you've heard like the Mr. May jokes because he showed up in playoffs before. And, listen, I'll just throw one team out there that could certainly use his services, and that's the team I'm covering the most often. The Dallas Mavericks need a third ball handler. He would certainly fit that bill.
What about Russ? I think Russ would be great. I think it would be awesome if you had Kyrie and Russ.
I think
the loquacious Luka Doncic would be great.
Yes, I think Russ's third fiddle has proven to be something that you really want to
you strive for
energy into. Plus, the vampires don't like they don't do well in heat. It's a little hot.
Well,
I don't know for sure, but
6 weeks ago, last time I was in LA for the NBA Today, Danny Green was on the show and we were talking about trades, and he was sitting next to me.
You traded him.
And I said, Danny, I put my arm around him. I go, Danny, they might trade you. And people, couldn't believe that I had dared to say that Danny Green might get traded. The guy's been traded like 7 times in his career.
I mean, Jerry Stackhouse had a classic line: the checks cash in all 50 states and Canada. Listen, I can empathize with guys who you got to pack up, and especially if you have family and all that stuff. Like, I get it. I empathize. I'm also envious on the 1st and the 15th, so it's part of the business.
Yeah, for sure.
The Clippers, I thought I saw some grades out there that were kind of shaky on them. There were some people on our panel that didn't love their day, and I was like, really? They got Bones Highland. I know he's a limited player.
They had Bones. That, to me, that's a future move. It is interesting because, like, the guys he reminds you of are former Clippers 6th man of the year.
Jamal Crawford and Lou Williams. Yeah,
exactly. I think that's the kind of player he has a chance to be. I think putting him out. Look, if Michael Malone thought he could be put on the floor in a playoff series right now, he wouldn't have been traded for 2 second-round picks. Right.
That's right.
2 seconds.
That's right.
And the draft compensation that they had to give for Eric Gordon was a partial pick swap.
Yeah, it's swapping one they got off of John Wall, which was clearly something that they were going to do one way or the other, whether it was buying him out or trading him.
Right.
And then
they're picking the Bucks pick, right, MacMahon?
Yeah, you're right. It's a pick swap it's the Rockets' rights, but they have the rights to swap the Clippers for the Bucks. So depending on how things go, the Bucks will be late in the first round. Clippers ain't gonna be too, it's not like you're moving up 12, 14 spots. Maybe it's 8, 10, I don't know, 6. We'll see.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.